Hello and welcome to Three Comics Walk into a Non-Socially Distanced Pub. We're starting off today with the Kaiser Chiefs. Makes a bit of a change for somebody in the world to pop say something sensible about vaccines, but their lead singer Ricky Wilson was inundated on Twitter last week after giving a shout out to people that had had their vaccine live on stage. So here's a quick one from the Kaiser Chiefs. Watching the loonies get Larry, it's not very pretty, I tell thee. Refusing a job is contrary, and not very sensible either. And a quick one now for the new government initiative. They have now said that jabs for 12 to 15-year-olds are safe. She was only 15, only 15. Off to the mobile vax van she went. How disappointed it was she when she saw the kind of shots they meant. So please welcome my fellow co-conspirators today on today's show, Juliet Myers and Paul Ricketts. Hooray.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We'll start off. I think we're gonna just dive into the COVID news. The governments have said that now it is safe to give 12 to 15-year-olds the vaccine, and but they're a bit worried about how they're going to promote it to them. I just think just say it takes less time than a TikTok video. They are showing me age already, but how would you promote it to 12 to 15-year-olds? What do you think?
Well, that's what you need. You need a TikTok dance. You need exactly that. So, but someone young doing it.
Yeah,
so I'm going to have to say, older. Not us three.
No, exactly.
Yeah, someone who's bum fluffy and and full of the vigor of youth to come up with some ridiculous dance. And it's either that or, as I said before, tattoos. So you actually get a free tattoo with every shot. And it's your choice, and your parents can't disagree. It's just basically give teenagers a chance to start their tattoo collection with the jab.
And also, they're actually saying that the cabinet this week, of course, you see the picture. This is part of the whole story that 4.5 million people since June the 19th, Freedom Day, have dropped wearing masks now. And so there was a picture last week of the cabinet, wasn't there, sat around the table, not one of them wearing a mask, and all sat within like 2.3 centimeters, inches. That's coming back as we know. And Sajid Javid said it's all right because we all know each other.
It's mad. Like,
yeah, but
how? Of course, you catch it from someone you know. Like, what's he gonna like? I don't understand his logic. Is he going, oh, there's a bloke in Siberia and I don't know him, so I won't get it from him?
No.
Yeah, that's correct. But, a stranger on the train can give it to you. But, I mean, it's... Sajid Javid, could I just say I've just had an idea for how to promote it to teenagers?
Go on, then.
You've got WKD.
Oh, yes.
Like non-CVD. Or something.
Make sure you've got the C in front of it.
I don't know what vaccine. VCN or something. I don't know.
VCN. I know. That's a good idea. I was just thinking that whole thing about the, it's okay because we're hardly strangers. That's the phrase you use. It's almost like that COVID is like adhering to some old-fashioned code of English manners, and they're going, "Oh yes, COVID. I went to Cambridge with him, but rather shy cove. But once you've been properly introduced, he's ever so nice." But
it's terrifying, though, isn't it? Like, you sort of wonder what else he adheres to. Does he think people can get pregnant from toilet seats, though?
Well, they can. Nicki Minaj told me that. Let's quickly mention Nico Minaj. She said that her friend in Trinidad and Tobago, their cousin on their mother's side, apparently, I've done the research, couldn't get married because the bride called it off because after his vaccine, his testicles swelled up to like 10 times their normal size. And she swears to... Incidentally, by the way, this is true. The White House have invited Nicki Minaj over for a conference this week and to talk about disinformation and being gullible and they've offered to pick her up in a gold-plated chariot borne by silver unicorns. So that should be good. But I mean, the Trinidad and Tobago government have said there's absolutely no truth in that whatsoever. It didn't.
No, they've checked his balls, and they're absolutely the same size. Well, not exactly the same size. One's slightly bigger than the other, but that's just getting into details. But no, they're the same.
But like, I missed. How big did she say? 10 times more. Like that's. What is that? That's
Juliet, have you got any ball measuring calipers? You can suddenly whip out of the table and go, 10 tabs.
Because 10 times, I keep doubling, because I thought it meant double it and then double it, and then so do that 10 times. And I was like, how is he? He doesn't need a sofa anymore. He can just.
Oh, by the way,
he's got 2 bean bags to.
Yes. The whole family could sit there.
2 little space hoppers. She is obsessed, by the way, Nicki Minaj, with English culture. And I think she's actually obsessed with Viz, isn't she? Buster Gonads and his unfeasibly large testicles. But that was a great story from this week. But also scientists claim that the government is no longer listening to them over COVID, and they've been completely sidelined. They said that they keep telling them, be careful, and the government go, no, not listening, la 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 la, without cleaning their fingers, which is even dangerous. But they're also complaining that Jonathan Van Tam was on the news today saying it's not over. Don't drop the caution. We haven't finished. It's like the scientists, ironically, have become the antibiotics of government advisors, haven't they?
Yeah.
You're supposed to finish antibiotics, aren't you? Not just stop halfway through and think, well, that's it.
Well, what is happening is that you've done the antibiotic course, and you now think, oh, I feel better. Let's go out and get pissed, because that's what everyone seems to be doing. And while I'm at it, see if I can find some petrol.
Yeah,
that's there's a massive collective amnesia going on here. Everyone's going, no, there's nothing's happened recently. I'm just going to fill the car up. I'm not worried about anything. I just want to fill the car up. That's all I want.
Well, it's that thing. There was a behavioural psychologist on the news yesterday, and he said that the reason that there's been so many, because incidents of violent arguments and stuff have shot up on the tube and public transport, because people now are having a go at each other for not wearing masks, or wearing masks, in fact. And the reason, I think we talked about this before, is that it just reminds people of the bad old days, as it were. I just think, well, in that case, I better stop going on the Northern Line dressed as the Grim Reaper. It pisses people off. Big scythe. What are you looking at? Big hood and the skull. But it is that they just don't want to be reminded of it, do they?
No, we're in a situation of don't mention the pandemic. That's our new catchphrase. We
don't
mention
the pandemic. Don't mention Brexit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It depends. If you can mention the pandemic if you want to defend Brexit.
Yes, that's
then
true.
You can.
Yes.
Then if you're a member of the government and people are saying, well, how come there's no food in the supermarket? Well, it's nothing to do with Brexit. I can tell you that. It's the pandemic. That's the only time it can be mentioned. The rest of the time, we just pretend it's gone. Boris did say this yesterday. He said after the pandemic. Well, he said that we are now after the pandemic. And I'm thinking, no, we're not. No, we're not. How can you get away with saying that? But
people say it, don't they? In conversation, they go, during COVID. What do you mean? Like, was that a long time? As you're dead right, everyone's using the past tense, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, talking of which, by the way, the panic with the petrol thing is that if the government say don't panic, if this government say don't panic, that people are going to go, oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, I always think there's a time delay, because they always, with everything, they're like, it's fine, and almost make out like you're mad. Like, oh, you're so panicky, you're so silly, worrying about this bat thing and everything. And then suddenly they're like, okay, well, there is a bit of a problem. And they're ironically, they've been gaslighting us slightly with the petrol thing of there's no problem, there's no shortage. And that, I mean, actually, in this case, a gas light might be what we need to see with if the bloody fuel prices go up.
Do you know, by the way, the one area of the UK which isn't seeing petrol shortages is, and this is actually true, it's Northern Ireland. I mean, because those petrol bombs aren't going to light themselves, are they? But that's actually true. They're not seeing. I mean, yesterday I live in Lewisham, southeast London. It was everyone was driving around looking for petrol. It was Armageddon around here. It's like
using up all the petrol, looking for more petrol. That's the thing this is the massive irony of this situation, that the streets are full of cars looking for fuel. While they're doing so, burning up lots and lots of fuel. It's now become like it's a new game that we're playing. Let's find some petrol.
It's like a really bad Bruce Springsteen song, isn't it?
Yeah, I drove all night.
I drove all night.
I drove all night looking for 2-star.
I was on my way to a gig on Friday and we broke down, nothing to do with petrol. And the AA said it was their busiest night ever because so many people had run out of petrol, probably looking for petrol, and also putting the wrong petrol in their car.
Wow.
Which just seems like...
Because diesel was available and people suddenly thought, oh, I'll try a bit of this diesel stuff then, see how that works.
Yeah. You know who's really enjoying this, by the way? The people really enjoying this, by the way, is you can see all the people queuing on the forecourt, like panicking. People are fighting, and then just sort of oozing past the electric car drivers, aren't they?
Yes, they're happy
with that smug wanker look on their face. Well, until they can't find anywhere to charge their fucking car.
Well, it's all about delivery, isn't it, really? It's because we can't deliver anything.
They're like that.
Oh, he's frozen again.
He has.
Or the government are censoring him.
Yes, you just had a little freeze out there.
Have I frozen again?
Yeah,
Am I back?
But not now. Now you're back. That's why you can hear us.
They've turned every... Okay. Can I just say, I was also talking about the Grant Shapps today, didn't he? Said that the petrol crisis was manufactured, which I think is a really ironic word for the Tory government to use, because they've spent most of the last 40 years destroying any manufacturing we've got. We don't manufacture anything, do we, really? Apart from panic.
Well, there was talk of our car industry and we were going to make driverless cars, but now we've got driverless HGVs, so...
Yeah, that's the problem.
Leapfrogged ourselves.
Yeah, and that new nursery rhyme for kids, isn't it? Red lorry, no lorry. Red lorry, no lorry. Do you know what I think? This whole thing is a bit like, we've all experienced this. The people's position as the government is now like when you're at a late night garage, right in the middle of nowhere, and they've locked the door, and you've got to speak to them through that fucking panel of glass.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah, and you go, can we have gas price? What? Well, now we're out of that. No. Well, how about PPE? I don't know what you're talking about, mate. That drives me crazy. That it does. No, they pretend they. Oh, anyway, sorry. Maybe that's.
I know what you mean.
But
I know.
So yeah, we've got that. What about the gas thing as well? Because this week my gas company went bust, Avro. I'm with Avro. And we're waiting to see who would be. Do you know, it's a bit like being a kid, isn't it? Here's your new mummy and daddy.
Yes.
British Gas is probably going to be,
Or your new supply teacher.
Yeah, but it's going to cost you more, isn't it? That's the worst thing. You've got a massive increase coming in your gas bill. So it's a bit like a new landlord who instantly raises your rent as soon as you meet him. That's pretty much the situation that lots of people are going to be in.
Yeah. You know that Kwasi Kwarteng, didn't he, said that the lights will not go out on my watch. Yeah. So that probably means that they will.
Sounds like he's a Smiths fan, doesn't he? Or Morrissey. Yeah.
Oh, panic on the streets of Birmingham.
Oh no, was it there is a light that will never go out?
It never goes out. It's a pilot light.
But the thing is, because I kind of feel with all the Brexit thing and everything, everyone said, well, we all pulled together in the war and, we all did our bits, and now the lights really are going to go out. So that whole thing of turn the lights out. They're just going to be out.
Don't you just miss the good old days of austerity?
Yes.
Yeah. It was the first time I thought, austerity was actually quite nice compared to where we are now.
It'd be like, show you what you like about austerity. You can still get lettuce. Oh, I used to love it. But do you know what got me as well? And then you probably saw this at Kwasi Kwarteng. He's a gift that keeps on giving. He said, if we cannot get proper supplies of gas, we will have to look at other options. And I just thought, that's fantastic. What are they going to do? Helium. That'd be brilliant. The crisis is very grave. Very, very serious. Stop laughing. Either that or nitrous oxide, could try that. And even then, if they got, deadly nerve gas that was left over from Porton Down, even then there'd be people demonstrating in the streets about having to wear a gas mask, wouldn't they? Piers Corbyn.
Well, I've got a soda stream somewhere, so, I'll be all right for fizzy drinks.
Very 70s, you see that? People saying the 70s.
70s are coming back. Again, flares, which are also ironically good for seeing in the dark.
They are, yeah.
I just hope we get a new punk movement to follow our new winter of discontent. You might as well go the whole hog, and hopefully the youth would rebel and stop following all their fashion advice and decide to be, do it themselves and all the rest of it. It'd be lovely if that spirit came back.
Not the gobbing, though. Not
the gobbing. Not even some of the music, to be honest with you. But, the attitude would be nice. I think a lot of these things could be, even the drivers shortage. Apparently, there's 30,000 ex-drivers who just don't want to drive anymore, as well as a shortage of 100,000 is what they need. You just need to make it more sexy, because that's the problem with lorry driving, is they need to make some sort of detective show with a lorry driver as the key person in it. Driving around the country solving murders and bringing joy and food to the multitude with a sidekick.
Lorries were. I've always thought, that bit when they drive past and they always seem to have fluffy seats and it looks really nice in the cab and you think, wow.
Yes, but that's what the idea they should sell more. That it's a fantastic sort of Kings of the Road idea. Instead of
surely if a limo is a penis extension, I suppose a limo goes out though. Yeah, but still, like a HGV, that's a massive.
Yeah, especially when they can't keep control of it. By the way, there's an advert on TV because my wife watches a lot of the strange channels like Quest Red. There was an advert on Quest Red the other day for an Eddie Stobart model that you can make out of like Airfix. Do you remember Eddie Stobart?
Yes,
the lorries that were. You can make a giant one that fits on your coffee table out of Airfix type. And they're selling it for like $10.99 or something.
Hasn't they gone now, Eddie Stobart? They've all disappeared.
Oh yeah, no, he died. He died about 3 years ago.
But there's still vans around, aren't there? There's still trucks.
No, not as many as there used to be. I've just suddenly realised that I haven't seen many of them. So I think it's gone.
Last night in services.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a tanker?
I won't be buying one of those models because then I won't be able to see the telly. It's on the coffee table.
Very true. Oh, I think we've dealt with the gas crisis, and this is the next subject we're going to talk about.
Unless I have got another solution, because you I don't know if they still do. You used to get all those weightlifter competitions. Britain's Strongest Man, where they'd be like pulling lorries. So can't we just get like a relay of?
It's a shame that Jeff Capes is dead, but I mean, we need to dig up Jeff Capes and say, look, we need those lorries delivered, Jeff. It's 11 o'clock now. You've got about half hour. Get that in your mouth and start pushing.
In the back, Stuart Hall laughing. All right, that is a very good solution. So the next subject I think we're going to talk about is the fact that the Queen, apparently, according to insiders in private, is a huge supporter of the Black Lives Matters movement.
I mean that's wonderful. I think it's. Do
you think it's true for a second?
Yes, I think now that her husband is dead, she's now decided to let a few of the things that she actually believes in to come out, because he wouldn't have liked them. Hence, she's going to say, you know, she's a great fan of Beyonce, urban culture in general. And she goes as far as probably drill music. She goes, oh, that's a little bit too far for me. But the rest of that, yeah, I'm really a huge fan. And turn up at gigs and, you know, and that sort of stuff.
Fangirls,
Discuss
McDonald's.
Yeah, a treatise on rapping, starting from the 80s into the current day, which she's followed intently because he's such a huge fan.
I like to think she is as well. Like, you know, exactly that, you know, now she doesn't have Prince Philip being miserable. I just hope it is that, and she hasn't misread it as Black Olives Matter. And, you know,
yes, you can hardly say, some lives matter more than others.
Yes.
Imagine it. Defund the monarchy.
More than.
Yes. Not Andrews, no. Pick up the fucking letter on the doorstep, Andrew.
Well, she's got too much self-confidence to say, you know, the other response that all lives matter, but she knows it's just her life that matters because everywhere she goes, we sing that to her. We say that she's the most important thing in the world. For God's sake, don't die.
Yeah.
So, do you recommend she sings the national anthem? She goes, God save me.
Yes, she
just stares around at everyone. What me?
Well, maybe she just goes quiet at that. You know, at the end of a comedy night when they say, and you've been watching, and they say a round of applause for everyone.
Yeah.
And then when they say your name,
you
stop clapping.
Yeah. Oh, I was joining.
Or you clap yourself. Like
I do. It's great.
I stop clapping.
I need to take the piss.
I stop clapping and then do this weird look, and I go.
Yeah, or pop your head up round the corner. What, me? Oh,
yeah.
No.
Oh
Oh no!
So we all think that the Queen is a big believer in critical race theory, and she's
God,
yeah.
So I mean, it would also upset the Daily Mail, wouldn't it, with their kind of loony lefty Liz? But I think good for her for supporting it.
Okay, well that was very easily sorted out. The next one,
good on the Queen. That's what we say here. It's official.
Yeah. So people might have been expecting something. By the way, if anyone wants to join in, please feel free. What do you think? Do you think the Queen is?
Yes,
comments. Black Lives Matter.
Yes, we want your comments. Send them in.
I would like your comments because I do think the Queen. I'm pleased that she said that, and I think that there could be some truth in it. But I have heard people say, well, then, you know, good. That's good that you've paid lip service to it, but could you do more? You know, could you be more of an ally? And
well, yeah, I mean, I've seen her hanging down Brixton, knocking out, £5 bags, and I think that's and that is
giving away a bit of gold.
Yeah.
One is mashed.
Yeah. So, I think everyone's having a go at her. I mean, she can't do more in my book.
Yeah,
no,
just leave her alone. That's what we say. Yeah. Well, this is linked to it because this week in Glasgow was the biggest Orange Lodge march there's ever been in the United Kingdom. When I think it was about 10 different Orange Lodges converged on the city centre of Glasgow and marched through the city, which I thought was just, bizarre, really. Why then? I think it was put off because of COVID, the July the 12th marches, So, and it's a shame, you thought that they'd have no regard for those rules, being as they're quite reasonable people, aren't they? Marching.
Yes.
I have to say, I don't even fully. I mean, I know that there are a load of. Oh, I'm about to say I don't understand, and then prove I don't. Like, I mean, there was an awful moment when the first time I ever played the Glasgow Stand. I was watching the best comedy club in Glasgow, but I used to have a joke about Catholics, and I was so ignorant about the whole kind of
Catholic Protestant
thing that I did this joke, and someone shouted out, "Do you know where you are?" And I didn't know what they meant, and I went, "Yes, thank you." And
that's
actually,
the most English response you could give.
Yes, about to say.
Yes, I do. And ignore it. Well done.
I went, "Yes, thanks," and carried on. And but actually, my stupidity got a massive off because they were like, and there was something quite nice about, I'm not joining in whatever this is.
Yeah.
You all look the same to me. Like, you know, I mean, I don't understand what, Orange, and hang on, I do understand it's because of William of Orange, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Not
He's definitely
Jason.
there. Yeah, he's there at the start.
William of Orange. Even though they don't like to be reminded that William of Orange, of course, recruited loads of Catholic soldiers, and James II, who he defeated, recruited loads of Protestant soldiers. So it's a kind of a jumble, because they're all celebrating. The reason that they march on July the 12th is to celebrate the Battle of the Boyne, in which they triumphed, and Protestantism became the official,
I have a story to tell about Orange
Go
marches in Scotland, in Glasgow. I was working in Glasgow for a year at Scottish Opera, and as the first black person to work backstage there in the whole history of the theatre.
Wow.
And I might as well come from outer space. It was just sort of, I appeared one day on their stage and people were in shock and didn't know how to deal with it. But anyway, I had to do this thing, and I had to have a costume. It had to be all in black. It had to be very long, go down to my ankles. So they decided that the best costume for me to wear would be a cassock from the... So I got given this great big lovely cassock to wear as my costume. My costume, even though I'm technical staff, I'm there wearing this cassock thing. So I'm outside the stage door having a fag when one of the practice marches happens in Glasgow. So you have the proper marches, we have practice ones.
Just a practice march.
They have practice marches,
proper bigotry,
and it's like Orange March light. They get to wear nothing but Rangers shirts. They don't have to get dressed up. They have the bands there, but they're all dressed in leisure wear and tracksuits, walking through a bit of the route, and walking down the street. So the road is still closed off for them as they're walking and doing it, as they're marching through. And I'm watching it, going, "Wow, I've never seen an Orange Order march, especially one so football yobby looking." And one of the my workmates said, "Look, can you just go over to get something from the news agents for me across the road?" And I didn't realize he was setting me up. And what he did set me up was I walked across an Orange March, which you're not supposed to do.
Wearing,
and I'm a black man in a cassock. And they must have been thinking, we don't know which part of us wants to kill him the most. It's like all our dreams have come. It's like Christmas.
It's Christmas has come at last.
Yeah.
What happened?
I did across to the shop because I saw them all looking at me, all going. First off, no one could believe. I suddenly realised I was stitched up, and I walked across it, and I could see everyone there going, "I can't believe this bloke's doing this. This has got to be a wind up." And I got to the news agents, and they didn't come after me. But
no.
But I did realise halfway through it that this was dangerous, and I sped across the road.
Do you remember? It's a while back that the IRA. This is an actual true story. The IRA, or the Provisional IRA, brought out a calendar, right, when they were trying to reach out to people. I'm not making this up, but I did have a joke. The Unionists had their own calendar, which went January, February, March, where we fucking will like. But that in the area I grew up in Liverpool, which is to the sort of north of Liverpool, a place called Waterloo, we regularly, when I was a kid, used to have Orange marches going past down the main road, South Road. And people used to lean out the window and throw bottles. It was quite, I know, we used to go down, this is terrible admission, but we used to go to the local Protestant church on a Sunday, and they had Sunday school, which outraged us because we couldn't, I mean, there's Protestant work ethic, and there's Protestant work ethic, isn't it? Making you go to school on a Sunday. And we used to sit there, and I'm not making this up, we used to sing, proddy dog, sitting on the well, here comes the devil to drag you down to hell. And then we used to throw stones at them. I'm very ashamed of it now. It was very febrile. It was like the 60s and 70s. And it was quite violent. Even a place for Liverpool used to regularly have sectarian riots.
I have a question. I don't understand. Who are they who are marching? Are they soldiers?
Protestants.
Soldiers? The what?
No,
Lodges.
Gemma,
Yeah.
the simple version is Protestant versus Catholic. That's always the
Yeah.
simplified version.
Yeah,
And
but like they're not.
They're called
Just
lodges,
public.
right?
Yeah.
You know, Travelodge. It's like Travelodge, except no Catholics are allowed.
So they're sort of like clubs.
Yes, that's what they are. Yeah.
They're clubs.
oh,
Okay.
if we have any Northern Irish viewers, could you send in a nice,
Because I don't.
pithy
Okay.
definition of sectarianism, please?
And it's only the orange ones that march. It's not the Catholics that march.
Oh no, Catholics march as well, but the Orange Lodge is the biggest thing.
And as there's a marching band, are musical values important in the march?
Yeah.
Is that why they're practicing?
No one's ever complained about the music. I mean, apart from the pipes and that. But it's the quality of the playing is better than you'd expect. Actually,
it's very good. They're well drilled, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, they've got music teachers going, "Hey, Sammy, I'm not quite getting the right note of hatred coming through."
Yeah, exactly.
Play that flute a bit harder. But there's regularly, I mean, the thing is that all the way through the 90s when the peace process was going on, it always used to flare up in July because they would insist in marching through Catholic areas deliberately when they knew.
So they're doing it on purpose.
Yes, it's a sign of power. That's like a lot of these things. It's symbolism. And the less power you have, the more important the symbolism becomes. Because that's what happens when you haven't got any power. It just gets reduced down to gestures and symbolism.
Do you know, I always just think it was very ironic that most Orange Lodge marchers wear sashes, don't they, like beauty contestants, because they are some of the most ugly people I've ever seen in my life. There was an Orange Lodge march in Newcastle.
Wait a minute. Before we lose
I'm getting
all our
sectarian
Protestant fans, I know. I'm going to say a nice story about a Protestant I worked with in Glasgow. I'm going to switch it around a bit. And he was a lovely bloke, member of the lodge, and all of that. And he had to secretly talk to me, and because he was a secret reggae fan, and he had to keep it a secret from all his friends and all of his workmates, even his wife. Right, even his wife and kids didn't know that he loved reggae. And he used to come and talk to me about reggae, right? And he actually bought me a ticket to go to a dancehall night in Glasgow. That he lied to everyone where he was really going. And he's going, "Paul, can you come with me? Can you come with me to?" I go, "Well, I'm sorry, really. I don't really like dancehall, to be honest with you."
Wow.
Why couldn't he admit he liked reggae? Because
he thought it was just too out there for the other lodge members and his other Protestant friends to accept that he liked dancehall music from the 80s and 90s.
Do you know what? He should have been behind the first ever Orange dancehall song.
I was about to say, just up the pace a bit, make the march a bit more.
Catholics out! Oh dear, we have lost all our Protestant. Look,
no, but he's as I'm saying, he's a lovely bloke, and I've met some nice Protestants.
Yeah, no, sure. I feel. But my point here is, I don't know. I genuinely wouldn't. You know, when you meet some people and they immediately notice whether someone's married or not because they clock whether they've got a ring on their finger.
Yeah.
And other people seem to immediately clock that someone might come from a Catholic family or a Protestant family. I wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not completely ignorant, but it's not.
It's
on
all
my
done
radar,
on names.
Really.
In Belfast, it's all done on what your first name is. If your first name is Samuel or William, you're Protestant. If it's Liam or Sean, you're Catholic. It's an immediate. And then, of course, people are foxed by names like Darren or Dave.
Reuben, Solomon.
Do you know what they used to say? They used to say, "What foot do you kick with?" That was the way of. Left footers are Catholics and right footers are Protestants.
But I mean, Glasgow.
Kind of a violent analogy, isn't it?
The football team is the thing in Glasgow. It's just as simple as that's when anyone asks you, who do you support, Celtic or Rangers, that you know what that question means.
Yeah.
It's not, I have to say St Mirren to get out of all problems. And my favourite one was by an Australian who just said, "No, I support Celtic Rangers," because he thought it was one team.
Oh my God!
Because he kept on hearing Celtic Rangers. Goes, "Yeah, I support them. They sound like a good. Everyone's talking about them."
Maybe in the future it will be. They'll all be one team. We are the world, all together.
No, that's never going to happen. No.
I know that. Okay, well, let's go on to another. This is a great story this week that scientists now say that they're going to clone the woolly mammoth and bring them back into the wild. I'll give you the background to this story. It's a software entrepreneur called Ben Lamb and a guy called Dr. George Church, is one of the leading people in DNA research, have formed a new de-extinction company called Colossal, and they want to tweak the genetic code of the Asian elephant so they can bring back woolly mammoths and put them into back into the Arctic and thereby save the planet. Can anyone see the flaw in this?
Who says it's going to save the planet?
Because they reckon that they're going to. Because when they roamed the Earth, how many hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was the tundra was there, and it was like grass, and it soaked up the CO2. And they think that the woolly mammoths will bring it back again.
But I thought that the mammoths died because it was too warm for them.
Well, it would be with all that hair, wouldn't it? But I just think it's this sounds like something that's made up. But they've invested millions and millions of dollars, and they say they're going to do it.
Can I just say the obvious thing? How can something that became extinct be the thing that can stop us from being extinct when the thing itself became extinct?
Yeah, it's just going to get hot again.
Yeah.
You know, like...
And then all the woolly mammoths will be like this, won't it?
Yeah.
Trying to take the jumpers off.
Yeah, just, and wool shrinks in a horrible constricted way. You know, it'll just melt. It'll make them even hotter.
Did you know this? The researcher was doing this. They have actually cloned the DNA of one animal before, and it was about 25 years ago, and it was the Pyrenean ibex or bucado, which is a type of goat, right? They cloned the DNA of it, and it only lived for 7 minutes, thereby becoming the only animal to be extinct, to be revived, and then to be extinct again. Can you imagine the goat was like, "I'm alive"?
Yes.
Baccardo, that's funny.
But also, what do you do? You clone two, hope they have sex.
Well, there's two ways of doing it. They want to.
Well, you say that they fancy each other. There's a chance that you go, "Yeah, you're the only one," but nah. Have you seen these pictures of these elephants I've got? Ooh, they're sick.
They want to put the DNA of the mammoth into the embryo of an Asian elephant because they're the nearest genetically to them, and then see what happens. But as lots of people are saying, it will not necessarily be a woolly mammoth. It'll be a hybrid of the two.
Yeah.
And it will probably be mad and wreak its vengeance on humankind.
Yeah.
It is madness to me.
Well, it just seems crazy. I mean, it seems like great publicity for the company and maybe a really clever thing to try and do because it has implications for other things that we could do. But actually bringing back a woolly mammoth seems... I mean, if we do, I hope that Attenborough, if he's died by then, we can clone him back to life to see it. But
that would be funny. Do you not think that the woolly mammoth always remind me? They're like the hipsters of the elephant world, aren't they? Because they've got all that hair.
Well, yeah.
Imagine them going back to the Arctic, and within about 2 months, they'd have, be riding penny farthings and bringing out their mating calls on vinyl records and charging a tenner for an espresso. Sorry, I hate hipsters. Anyway, why don't
they bring back something? They should bring back something. The dodo they should bring back because apparently they were tasty.
Really?
They were that's the reason they're not here. Is they were just so delicious. Even they were supposed to be taking 2 back, right? Back to London.
Right. Yeah.
But unfortunately, first of all, they decided to eat one of them because they're so lovely. And then once they ate it, then the crew goes, "Wait a minute! You just said you ate one. Well, there's no point. There's only one left. Let's have some." And they were going to revolt if they didn't cook this. So they cooked the last one, and they were sitting there going,
So
they were delicious.
roast, no garlic, just actual juicy.
As it comes, juicy, tender, succulent meat
I
of the
didn't know
dodo.
that's why they went extinct. I just thought that, wow.
No, we hadn't. We just found them. They were flightless birds that were big and tasty.
Can you imagine if you're the first dodo to be revived, to be brought back, and you just go, but why have you brought me back? And they just go, you're very tasty.
Just surrounded by people licking their lips.
I can't even run away. Remember those cartoons where a really starving person, everything turned into a chicken?
Yes. Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that? No reason. Oh God, poor old woolly mouse. Anyway, this is the last story we're going to talk about today. I think it is Judge John Crosshill, in still actually going on, an employment tribunal has ruled that in the case of the Barclays investment banker, the woman called Anna Anka Lokatos, who was a £46,000 a year investment banker, has accused her boss of being sexist because he kept referring to her as a bird. And he said the language is inappropriate and the damages will be for, she's won.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's staggering that we're in 2021. But mind you, that's,
What year is this? This is just amazing. And the guy said, I read about this, the guy said, oh, it was just banter. But she said she didn't like it loads of times. And he was like, it's bants.
Bants.
Yeah.
And then he was
an excuse for all sorts of horror, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently his lawyer said, I wrote it something about, it was a misplaced use of irony. As in an incorrect use of irony known as sexism. Oh my God.
Well, that's how people get away with it.
The only irony is that, it's a dinosaur calling someone a bird. So, at least.
Well, people who use the word birds just remind me of just Michael Caine in Alfie. And was that 1960s,
exactly.
late 60s film where they're going to go, she's a lovely bird. I mean, it's just sort of...
Have they been cloning Barclays bankers from the 60s?
I mean, apart from the Cockney rhyming slang element of that, which
yes,
of course
exactly,
is there for all to see. It's just sort of anyone who sort of lives in a carry-on film still and works as an investment banker. That's really
well. They've got form on this, haven't they? Because Barclays are involved in another case just last year. A banker called Amanda Staveley was called a dolly bird and a tart. And she sued for damages, but she lost, so she didn't get any money. And that was basically she overheard a phone call in which two of her immediate bosses were called. Yeah, who's that dolly bird? Oh, Staveley. I can't remember her first name. And then it's just, but it does seem to go on in the financial world a lot, doesn't it? That kind of
because it's just got that
macho
culture of forgiving it, or because they must know. It's what circle can you move in that you think that isn't, that you think that's acceptable. But having said that, where I live, the guy that manages all the flats and is sort of responsible for the general upkeep of the estate I live on, whenever he sees me, and he's done this for at least 10 years, I'll be complaining about something or pointing something out to him, and this is how he greets me. What young lady? What young lady? And I always say, can you call me Juliet? And he just doesn't get it. I've tried everything. I've said, when he goes, all right, young lady. It's like I'm about 10 and he thinks he's going to offer me a fizzy drink or, all right, young lady. And I always say to him, all right, old man. I've tried everything. I've said my gender and, relative age to you is irrelevant, mate. And you can see him just looking like, what? And then the next time he sees me, he just goes, what, young lady? And
sorry, it shouldn't be funny. It's terrible. What a terrible behavior.
It's so ridiculous that, it's the thumbs up as well. Like, you really would think that.
I was going to say, if he called you like, the typical London things, all right, treacle, but you know what that's short for? Treacle tart.
That quite much.
No, it's treacle lid kid.
Is it?
Yes, treacle lid.
I thought it was treacle tart.
No, it's treacle lid kid.
Right,
Oh, is it?
Yes, Scouts are talking about cockney rhyming slang.
Can I just say there's loads and loads of terms of derision for women, isn't there? There's hardly any for bird, tart, dolly bird, sort, but there's nothing for men, is there?
Yes, there are.
Go on then.
There's spunk, hunk.
Never.
Hunk is okay, isn't it? Hunk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spunk is the Australian one. He's a bit of a
never heard
spunk.
that. Is he?
But I think these things are nice.
You must move in
aren't
different
they? Not
circles,
a bit of a
Paul.
spank.
Well, they're Australian ones, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. It's a bit of a spank. Yeah. But I'm talking about that kind of derogatory.
Yeah.
There's nothing, is there, really?
What, sexualized? I mean,
Yeah,
the only thing
bloke,
is they're sexualized,
fella,
and
totty.
and they are reducing in power in terms of the way they're used. It is to bring you down and it's to make you less of a individual and more of a group of thing. But there's a not as many for men, but there is a few that you could use. But it doesn't make. I'm not using this as some sort of equivalence or anything like that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I was going to ask Juliet, do you think that this, because I'm going to tell an anecdote now about something that happened to me over the weekend. I'm not mentioning any names, but there was a female act on before. She was on in the middle, and she was actually very funny, really good. But the compere, before he brought her on, and this is a guy in his mid-40s, so he's kind of old enough to know that this isn't good. Just did a load of material about how he's getting engaged to his girlfriend and how she's going around going, "Oh, look at my thing." It's like, what fucking decade are we on? And one, does he know he's doing it, or is it just unconscious?
I think sometimes
I don't know.
I think sometimes people think they don't know. They're just doing a bit of material and they haven't thought. I've the compare's often done really sexist. I mean, like I did a gig a few years ago, and the compere was talking to someone in the audience who was Swedish. Yeah. And he went, "Oh, you filthy bitch, Swedish, porn, and everything, milky white tits and everything." And then
keep talking.
And then he went, "You ready for your next act?"
Yeah. I can beat that. I had to walk onto the theme music of Monkey Man. I couldn't fucking believe it. As he walked on stage, like, la 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 la, and I just walked. I went, "Yeah, Monkey Man."
That is terrible.
No. And of course, I know it was an accident. He just went, "Oh, I'll put a bit of scar on for him." No, without realizing what track he put on.
But I think that's it. Sometimes it's terrible, but it's accidental. But sometimes I think it is meant to be. I have been introduced with things that I even.
Well, you told me several of them, and they are terrible things. I mean,
and just think. But I just find it, but I even find when people say, the next act is, she's a woman and she's lovely. And it's like,
what's that got to do with anything?
Yeah, like lovely, like, oh, good, she won't say anything nasty that might make us little disempowered men upset. Or, I don't know. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, it is dying out. But
but Juliet, what gets me is that I do see. Obviously, I've been around a long time, but I just get a bit disappointed in a way that people are still doing that difference between men and women material in 2021. That women do this, women go, "Oh, I'm so excited!" For fuck's sake,
it's just always going to be there. It's always going to be there.
But it's not really true.
With people,
but it's not true.
It's not particularly true, and it's a stereotype that everyone's comfortable with, and it's playing on people's generalizations that makes them feel happy, and and it's never going to go away, no matter. Yes,
I mean it's depressing for men and women, though, isn't it? It's a bit like when blokes say they don't like feminism, and you go, "Well, are you totally happy with your stereotype of what a man should be?" In
that case, yes, they are.
Well, a lot of them are, but not.
In fact, it's the only thing they've got to hold on to in this changing world. At least
But
I'm
yes,
a
maybe
man.
that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
At least I'm a man. No, you know what gets me as well? You hear some comics do that thing of the whole thing about, so I came back to the house. I had to creep up the stairs because, the wife was. I thought, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like I heard comics doing this, on television in the 60s, and they were doing it, copied of people in the 40s and 50s. It just never seems to end. Like the stereotype of the woman, she's got no power otherwise, but she's, Sorry.
Maybe I think it is dying out that, like bits of, I often find if someone's got a weak joke that's like two words that sound the same or something, they'll attribute it to like, oh, my mum said that because she's silly, or my wife said that. And there was once a thing about, oh, his wife was so stupid that, and I said that she married you. And it was like, ugh. But you just sort of go, it's that they're fabricating the material, but they just feel it would be more palatable. Yeah. It's sort of like the old mother-in-law thing of, oh, great, if we need to pin a joke on someone, we'll pin it on a silly mum who can't text, or a mum who confuses the EDL with the EDF. Or
well, I mean, that's another strand. We'll wrap up in a sec, but I did want to talk about that. I've noticed this, and I've noticed this more because I'm older. The absolute sort of ageism that lots and lots of comics do say, if they can find an old bloke in the front, you won't survive the winter, and all the sort of little digs, and then old people are really stupid. This, they talk to you like you're a child. I won't go into who it was on the other night, but they were going, I went to see this gig, and Steve Hackett, the guitar player from Genesis, God, he must be 65. Wow. How do these old guys do it? It's like patronizing wanker,
I know. And you see, if we had a Patreon page, we could get people to pay for the extra footage where we stop recording and you tell us who these people are.
I nearly will, but I'm not going to. I'm very discreet, darling.
I think we should be careful that we don't get self-indulgent and make this a discussion about comedy.
Yeah.
This thing I'm trying to, remember. Not everyone out there. I mean, if you're a comedian out there that likes to talk about comedy, drop us a line.
Yeah, and if you're a Protestant comedian,
the point is that comedy, because for years, as a female comedian, you get contacted about what's it like being a female comedian, because it's such a sexist world. And my reply was always, you make it sound like comedy is in a bubble of its own, whereas it's just reflecting society.
Absolutely, that's my point at all. All the time, comedy reflects society. That's why in the 70s there were racist jokes, etc., etc. But then that's why it's depressing if it starts again reflecting. You've got
society.
Some jokes, creeping in anti-immigration jokes. I've heard
my thing about all this is, if they want, there's an audience. I don't think society's got any better. I think everyone's deluding themselves up to a certain degree. Yes, because there's been legislation, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of attitudes, I don't think things have fantastically changed. And I know there's an audience of people who like to see that stuff all over again, who'd like to live back in the 70s and have all them gags. And if there's comedians who want to do that and provide that service for them, as much as I'll feel saddened by that, I would go, well, yeah, okay, sort your club out, get them all in one room, so at least I know where they are between 8 and 10 o'clock, and I can avoid that area, and they could all be sat in there listening to all that stuff. So I have no problem. So people say, oh, silenced. Then no one's silenced. If you want to set the gig up and that audience wants to turn up and hear that stuff and they enjoy it, fine, charge them the money, make your money from it. You do it. I have no problem with it. Even though I disagree with a lot of the stuff that's being said there.
But I agree. I think they should be allowed to say it, but then challenged. But they don't like being challenged.
Exactly. At the same time, why have a go at me for doing what I want to do? Saying that I'm stopping you. I'm not stopping you. You set up your gig, get the people to do it.
Guys, you know what the answer is? The Queen has got to come and start doing stand-up. Pro Black Lives Matter stand-up from the Queen. Be fantastic. Oh,
So,
what the servants.
And the compare can go, we got a lovely bird on next.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's lovely.
It's
Yeah,
that
she's
cream.
not old talk.
Oh, gracious cream.
Hello, everybody. Take my husband. Oh no, you already have. All right, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you very much for the people that will be watching, and give a sort of silent round of applause if you can in the ether to Paul Ricketts and Juliet Myers and myself, Steve Bruin. We'll see you soon.
I don't want to clap myself.
Next 2 weeks' time.
Bye.